Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something really awesome to take a look at. This is a figure that I have been anticipating the arrival of for a very long time. This is the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. This is only the second release. I guess you can technically kind of count it as a third if you count the first two variants as individual releases, but previously they only have released the Spinosaurus, but that came in two different variants, so I guess you could count this as being the third release, again, if you count the different paint variants as individual releases, but I would say that the Spinosaurus was one individual release, again, in two different paint schemes. Now we have the Carcharodontosaurus here, again, but in two different paint schemes. However, I only have one here currently to take a look at, and that is because the alternate version has actually been delayed quite significantly, it seems. This one's been out probably for like maybe a month or two at this point, and the other one still is not finished, and I'm not too sure why. Normally variants like that get released together, but the alternate paint variant unfortunately was not ready, so once that one is ready, I will review that one as well here on the channel. It'll just obviously be a separate review, but I didn't want to sit on this figure for an extended period of time. I really wanted to get it up here and review it on the channel because it is just gorgeous. I actually just received this yesterday, and when I initially took it out of the packaging, I was just blown away. I can easily say that if GR Toys could produce more figures more frequently, they would definitely be one of, if not the best dinosaur producing companies out there, because the quality of this figure is just mind-bogglingly incredible. Like, this paint job is something that I would have never expected to come on a factory mass-produced figure. The paint job and paint scheme they've gone with looks so realistic but so flashy, and there are so many different tones of color included on the model, and it's all so nice and naturally applied. It is really honestly a sight to behold in person. I was really impressed with the Spinosaurus previously from GR Toys, but seeing this Carcharodontosaurus in person, again, I can easily say that GR Toys is definitely one of the best producing dinosaur companies currently, but they could probably overtake almost everyone if they produced more figures more frequently. That's really the only downside to GR Toys, is it does seem to take quite a while before a figure gets released, as this Carcharodontosaurus has kind of been hyped up for probably, maybe closing on a year, I would say at this point. But definitely a gorgeous looking figure here in person. So let's go ahead, get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Carcharodontosaurus, you can see that the detailing aspect is beautiful. There is a lot of really nice skin texture to be found on the head sculpt of this Carcharodontosaurus, including some very nice small, very fine scaling here to the lower jaw, and then kind of more of like a rough and rugged type of a look to the skin texture up here on the upper jaw and the face area. But it looks so nice, again, as far as both the sculpt, but the paintwork is insanely well done. Like, there are just so many different tones of color included on the face of this Carcharodontosaurus, and of course that does not cease throughout the entire body. The paintwork of this figure is just about as incredible as I could probably ever see a paint job on a mass-produced figure being. And one aspect of the model that I actually was not aware of, and I don't know why I never really noticed this in the promotional images, but the Carcharodontosaurus does have lips. So when the mouth is closed, of course, the teeth are completely obscured and hidden, and then when you open the mouth, you can then see the teeth. So that's really cool. The PNSO release of the Carcharodontosaurus did not have lips, so it is pretty cool to see now one that includes lips, and then we have the PNSO version if you are not a fan of lips. But again, the sculpting and detailing aspect looks great on the face, but as soon as you open the mouth, it looks just as nice inside the mouth. You can see a really nicely sculpted out tongue in there, beautifully sculpted teeth. The inside of the mouth in general looks really nice, very realistic tones of color chosen for the inside of the mouth. You can see some beautiful sculpt and detail up there on the upper jaw, as well as some really nice paintwork, as they have given it a nice pinkish coloration, as well as kind of a reddish wash. Oh, now it's losing its focus here, but making it look very lifelike, very realistic. So that's a beautiful job there on the part of this figure and GR Toys. But you can also see that the teeth are painted really quite nicely, and the same deal here for the lower jaw and the inside of the mouth looks great on both sides. So definitely a very, very nice paint job and sculpt and detail on this figure. GR Toys has absolutely nailed it, and I can say that straight away without even looking at the rest of the figure. This thing is just incredible. You can see the eye paint right there is really nicely placed, beautifully done. Nice black pupil right there, as well as some really nice detailing there around the eye. Same deal over here. If we come back over here, you can take a look at the eye right there. Very nicely glossed as well, so it looks quite realistic and lifelike. You can see the nostrils sculpted out there on the tip of the snout. So as we lead back here into the neck, you can see some more really nice detailing occurring, as you see lots of creasing and everything going on, just generally like some nice movement in the neck, as well as almost like some musculature in the neck of the dinosaur. And as you lead up into the back of the figure, you can see some beautiful bluish tones, which I really, really like. I love the usage of the blue here on this figure, and there's like a nice black striping that runs down the course of the back. And again, like I was stating, there is just so much color variation in this figure. It's just mind-blowing how much color variation is included. You have a really nice light yellow down here in the throat, highlighting that area of the figure. But as you move up, it's honestly like almost impossible to truly pick out each and every color that you can see included in this figure. There's just so much of it. As you lead down into the shoulder area, you can see some nice creasing there in the skin before the shoulder, but you can also kind of make out the shoulder blade there kind of elaborated within the sculpt and the skin. You can see the skin right there as you lead down into the arm where it's bending right here. You can see really nice creasing going on, again showing some movement in the arm of the dinosaur. Some very nice muscle tone displayed in the arm as well. It transitions to a black coloration as you lead out here into the hands. The hands also look quite nice as far as the sculpt goes. Pretty nicely painted nails with a black, although there is a little hint of sloppiness right there on that middle nail, but that's really such a minor issue when you have such incredible paintwork on this figure. You can see some nice scale detail here in the stomach region, really vibrant scale detail, and the figure has been coated with a really nice dark wash, so pretty much every ounce of paintwork pops so beautifully because of that dark wash behind it, really elaborating pretty much each and every scale on the figure. You can also see, again, some decent girth here in the stomach, so the dinosaur is definitely well fed. You can also take note to kind of like the skin bunching up there as the thigh is pushing into the body right there. The hip bone is elaborated a little bit right there. You see some more nice creasing going on. The skin stretching back here off of the back of the leg, pulling the skin from the tail. You can see even some creasing going down the course of the thigh. The muscle tone is definitely nicely sculpted out right there. Same deal here for the calf. And again, the paintwork is really nice as far as like the application. It seems to have been all painted with a nice airbrush. So it looks really natural with the way that the paint lays on the model. And the actual transitioning between colors is incredibly smooth and natural. You can see the kneecap present here on the front of the leg. As you move down into the foot, that foot sculpt looks super nice, very bird-like. If we can get a better view of it right there, you can see how nice and bird-like it looks. You can even see kind of like some black speckles as you move down into the foot. The foot is like a very nice dark brown, but there again is a little bit of variation of like some black speckles. You also have some very nicely painted nails with a black down there. We do have dew claws present, of course, because I would not expect GR Toys to skip out any ounce of detail on their figures. And then we continue to lead back into the tail, and you can see how incredible that scale detail pops. Like, it looks super nice on the figure, and you can see kind of like a nice white streak that runs down the course of the tail and stripes down in certain spots, some more black speckles. You can kind of make out a seam here where the tail was connected, but that's just a very, very minor issue that, honestly, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't notice it at all. And then you can see a really nice curve in the tail as well. As we lead out the length of the tail, it does curve in both directions, as you can see it kind of curving right there beautifully, and then you can also see it pointing down from up here. So really nice, natural looking pose for the dinosaur, and almost, I would say, a majestic appearance for this figure. Looking at the opposing side of the head, again, the paintwork is just beautiful for sure. So much paint here on the face. I just cannot get over how much paintwork there is on this figure. Like, honestly, my recommendation, get a hold of one and just look at it in person. It's easily going to be one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. You can see more of that really beautiful paintwork as we lead down the course of the neck. You can really nicely see the skin stretching here in the neck. The dinosaur has its head turned slightly to the left, so you can kind of see the skin stretching, but it's nothing that's overly dramatic because the head tilt and the head turn is a little bit of a head turn. It's not anything that's, super aggressive or anything like that. You can see again some more creasing going on there and behind the arm. You lead down the arm. The arm looks really nice, just like it did on the opposing side. You can see it is in a different position on this side in comparison to the other side, so it's not exactly, the same thing on both sides. You can see a little bit more of the stomach over here because the leg is stretched back as the dinosaur is taking a step, and that leg right there is trailing, so you can kind of see the skin stretching off of the stomach right there with that leg. But you can also, again, get a better idea of just how beautiful the detailing and paintwork is in the stomach region, and how that nice dark wash makes all of those scales pop in a beautiful way. Again, really vibrant detailing on the model. There are very few companies that I feel like produce such vibrant detail on their figures. GR Toys is definitely one of them, along with Nanmu, I would say, and PNSO. I don't know too many others that produce detail that looks as good as it does on these figures. Coming back up here into the hip region, again, you can see the hip bone there elaborated a little bit. You can see that very nice tone of blue that I was talking about up here on the top of the dinosaur. And again, some more of that really nice muscle definition as you lead down the course of the thigh and calf region of our Carcharodontosaurus, as well as the kneecap present right there. You have a very nice foot sculpt again over here. You can see how the toes are leaving the ground as this foot is just about to pick up and take a step. As you lead back up here into the tail, again, the tail looks great. You don't really notice that seam so much over here, but again, it really wasn't all that visible on the initial side either. And you can lead out the length of the tail, and the tail just looks drop dead gorgeous, as does every ounce of this figure. As you look at the underside, it looks beautiful from a detailing and paint standpoint, just incredible all around. So this Carcharodontosaurus is definitely one of the best Carcharodontosaurus figures in existence currently. I will also say that as far as this figure goes, it balances really beautifully. Like, I do not have any issues with it standing at all so far. Of course, that is something that does happen quite often. You may get a figure, it'll stand great at first, and then as time goes on, the legs may warp, it may fall over. It's happened tons of times with other figures, and I'm sure it'll happen tons of times again in the future, but as of currently, right now, this figure stands beautifully, and I don't feel like it's going to have any standing issues in the future at all, because the feet honestly look really good as far as like the distance between the toes and just the way it's standing. Like, it really looks like it should hold up in the long run as far as balancing out goes. As far as a size goes, we'll bring this a little bit forward so we can get that tail into view. For a length, you were looking at about 14 inches, pretty much there on the dot, or about 35.5, closing in at 36 centimeters. And then if we bring the Carcharodontosaurus back again and we check out a height, you were looking at about a little under 5 inches, or about 12.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus, showing off the really nice size for the figure. It's honestly a little bit larger than I expected it to be, but that is definitely a good thing because I feel like the size is just as impressive as the sculpt and paint job. And then for a second comparison, here is the GR Toys Spinosaurus, one of the two variants, in comparison to the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. And if I actually turn them here and kind of put them facing off against each other, if I can actually move them to a decent spot right there, you could probably get a pretty good idea of the size difference between the two. The Spinosaurus quite clearly is a good bit larger, but that Carcharodontosaurus still can hold its own in the size department. And just looking at the two together, it's really impressive to me just how much GR Toys has improved within one figure. Like, the paint job on the Spinosaurus, I felt like looked really good. Like, it is a beautifully painted figure. However, it didn't look quite as nice as the promotional images did. But if you look at this, I feel like this absolutely looks just as beautiful as the promotional images did. So that right there is just showing that GR Toys is continuing to improve, and at a very dramatic rate. And then for one final size comparison, here is the PNSO Carcharodontosaurus next to the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. And you can get a good idea of the fact that the GR Toys version is definitely larger than the PNSO version. Quite impressively larger, but they definitely look really cool together, and both are fantastic interpretations of the Carcharodontosaurus. So this GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus is a drop dead gorgeous figure. I feel like this is one of those times where like you look at the promotional images and it's like, yeah, that image looks great, the dinosaur looks great, but we know what we get isn't going to look as nice as what the image is showing us. But GR Toys honestly proved me wrong, because that's exactly the way I always feel when I look at promotional images. And although it probably doesn't match up perfectly, it's been a little while since I actually looked at the images of the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus, the promo images, but I will say that what I'm seeing here is just as impressive in person as I can recall the promotional images being. So this is definitely one of the very few instances where the figure shows up and it is just as gorgeous as what I was led to believe it would be. And I feel like GR Toys has just done an insanely good job on every ounce of this figure. The sculpt is, again, as highly detailed as it gets for a dinosaur figure, and I think at this point, even though we're only 2 releases in from GR Toys, I will be very confident that that will be a continuing trend moving forward for them, because it really seems like they do a fantastic overall job on capturing every ounce of movement or detail on their figures perfectly. And the paint job itself is easily one of, if not the most impressive factory released figures that I've ever seen paint job wise, because the paint job is insanely well done with so many different tones of color, and every ounce of paint on the figure is so nice and naturally applied that it is just, again, one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen in hand from any company yet, which really again shows how insanely good GR Toys is and how much they continue to improve when they can release something that is as gorgeous as this. The paint scheme they actually went with is really cool as well, again with just so many different tones of color all over it, but I really love that bluish coloration as well as that kind of like orangish color above the eye and above the palate and that almost crest-like area of the Carcharodontosaurus. And another thing that's really cool about the figure is the addition of lips on this version, which is something that, again, the PNSO version did not have, but we do have lips on the GR Toys version, so you really have your best of both worlds as far as which version you would like to get. If you don't like lips, you've got the PNSO version. If you do like lips, you've got the GR Toys version. If you don't really care like me, then you've got both. And the pose of the figure is really nice, just a nice natural walking pose, nothing over the top or flashy. Very nice, very impressive size for the model as well, which we can see that with the size comparisons, it definitely sports a pretty impressive size. This figure as a whole is an incredible release, and now actually having this one, I cannot even begin to express how excited I am to get a hold of the second variant and see just how impressive that one is in person as well. Hopefully that one releases sometime soon and is not too far off in the future. I will without question be eagerly awaiting its arrival, but for now you can purchase this one, and I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine from a seller on Aliexpress, and I purchase from him all the time. He's a fantastic seller and usually has tons of stuff like this and PNSO and all of the latest releases from China. So again, check the link in the description and buy this fantastic GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.